Good afternoon, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our 17th annual celebration of International Women's Day. When we last met to celebrate in person 2 years ago, almost to the day, in the Convention Centre, we had no real sense of what was ahead, perhaps just an overall sense of foreboding. Today I'm looking at you through the lens of a camera here in the dock, our Research and Development and Global Innovation Centre in Dublin, and I'm delighted to say in front of a very small but perfectly formed audience who I wish to extend a very especially warm welcome. And they are our inclusion and diversity champions and our people crew who are at the heart of accelerating equality in our business every day. So a huge thanks to each and every one of you for all that you do. As I and we all reflect on the last 2 years, it is clear we have endured so much as a country, as a people, and in our communities, both in our day-to-day lives and in our working experience. But I think we should set that aside for a moment to think of the extraordinary achievements, the remarkable response of the country as a whole in the face of a once-in-a-lifetime set of events. And of course, we reserve our deepest thanks for those that were in the front line, and indeed, many remain within it. I think it's also critical that we recognise the vital roles women have played within that front line, whether in essential retail, food production, cleaning staff, manufacturing, distribution, and in particular in healthcare settings, doctors, surgeons, nurses, care workers all over the country, both within and without the home. It has been a truly extraordinary and difficult response where we did pull together, as we always have in a crisis as a country. Now, of course, parts of our economy have expanded and thrived on the back of the talent and skills in this country, serving as it does some of those sectors that are most in need around the world, like medical devices and pharmaceuticals, to name but two. But this situation has created new careers and opportunities that have sprung up in front of us. And of course, work from home has allowed people to spend more time with their families and friends. However, in equal and opposite measure, and with a terrible asymmetry, parts of the economy have been decimated. People's health and lives, and of course livelihoods, have been dealt the worst blows they will ever face. So today, and now as we pause for a moment and take cognizance of what the pandemic has done in our quest for equality and fairness and inclusion in this country of ours that we all love, we need to think very carefully about how we bottle the good aspects of what we've learned during the pandemic and make the most of the opportunities. The pandemic has, to use the old maxim, has seen things that might have taken 10 years to happen in the normal course take 10 weeks or 10 days or in some cases 10 hours. And we see that in every regard in our business and in our lives. In many cases, technology has been the solution and has enabled the once unthinkable, including indeed, it has enabled us to come together today in a way we thought improbable. So now is the time to take a momentary pause and reset. We are not going to be blown off course in our business nor as a country, and we're going to stay the course true to the road that we want to travel, which is to create the future for Ireland that we want. Not just a more inclusive, but to be inclusive. Not just a bit more diverse, but to be diverse. Not just a bit more equal, but to be equal for all. And for a relatively small country, we have a big voice and a huge heart. And we need to make sure that voice is heard. And so many of our diaspora are doing that today as we stand here. As we gather today, I'd like to think potentially about Ireland's role on the global stage and how our shamrock might be a beacon of light around the world as we approach St. Patrick's Day. And that is so very clear in the role one of our esteemed guests today is playing. Ambassador Geraldine Byrne-Nason at the UN also fulfills Ireland's seat on the UN Security Council. And she's taken time from her extraordinarily busy schedule to be with us, to share her story, and we are truly honoured. Solving for gender equality, solving for diversity, solving for what I would describe as plain, downright fairness for all. It doesn't take a village or a city. It takes the nation. It takes the nation driving forwards and thriving together, men and women in concert. And we as businesses have a massive role to play in that. Accenture's own quest towards 50-50 gender balance by 2025 has made some good progress. 3 years ago, 45% of our workforce was female. Today that number is 48%. But we're by no means there yet. And as a responsible business, it needs our dedicated focus to get there. It is, as we might say in our business, simply just non-negotiable. So as ever, our International Women's Day events try to talk to the issues that are critical of today and for the future. And with that in mind, we've brought together diverse voices to discuss real sensitive but critical topics for today. For example, gender-based violence, what some have called the shadow pandemic. We'll also hear powerful stories on identity and belonging, progress on sustainability and equality. And as those of you know me well, you know I'm a keen sports fan, so I'm very interested in hearing what our country needs to do to bring equality to the sports fields of our country. We'll also get perspectives from the next generation, and all of this, of course, infused with the most beautiful and poignant music and artistic performances. So let's take the moment in time we are afforded today. We need to take a reset and recommit to create the country we all want. And that is an inclusive and equal place. In closing, my questions to each and every one of you are, if you don't mind, what action or commitment will each of you take that will, as you leave today, that can accelerate that equality for all? And how will you make your voice heard and your actions felt? Without further ado, please welcome my colleague and friend, Dr. Michelle Cullen, our Head of Inclusion and Diversity for Accenture in Ireland. And thank you so very much for being with us.